Cooper. Knock me out! Hit me! Oh, you fucking pussy, hit me!
Dog Soldiers is a film that doesn't exactly reinvent the wheel when it comes to cinema. There's no huge budget or fancy CGI. The characters aren't chiseled, unrealistic Hollywood actors, and the plot isn't anything unique.
They tore them to pieces in front of my eyes!
But where this film lacks in originality, it more than makes up for it with its passion. Its witty and intelligent dialogue, its humour, characters, set design, and how well it combines all of them to synergize perfectly. So let's talk about it. Dog Soldiers follows a section of soldiers that are sent on a training mission in the Highlands of Scotland against a special ops squad, only to stumble across their bloody remains from an attack by an unknown enemy that hints at their presence with a distant howl. After saving the only survivor, the tyrannical leader of the special ops squad, Captain Ryan, they run for their lives as they desperately try to defend themselves from a threat they know nothing about, losing one of their own in the process and another being critically wounded.
Jesus!
With the werewolves right on their trail, the group stumble across Megan, a zoologist that lives in the area and secretly knows more about the threat than she's letting on. They make their way to a secluded farmhouse that belongs to the family that just so happens to not be home, so the team take their chances and bunker down to try and survive the night, which is where the movie really begins. Like I said, the plot isn't anything groundbreaking, but it doesn't need to be, nor is it trying to. One of the things I love about this film is that it doesn't try too hard. It doesn't take itself so seriously, which ends up being one of its strongest features because the movie knows exactly what it is, and that level of self-awareness is what makes the movie so much fun to watch. Dog Soldiers isn't forcing some half-assed storyline that is overly complicated, filled with pointless redirection and boring dialogue between characters we don't care about. Every actor in this film puts on a stunning, believable performance that strengthens the connection the audience has to the characters. You've got Sarge, played by Sean Pertwee, whose performance is just brilliant. You can see that this man cares about his squad and will fight to the death to protect them. He's a strong leader that's been through the trenches, but isn't so proud to the point where he's delusional in his own capabilities. Happy to give command of the squad to Cooper when his injuries get the best of him. Cooper's an intelligent, focused, and athletic soldier more than capable of leading a squad of his own and keeping a somewhat level head despite the situation he's in. Spoon is confident, he's charismatic and energetic. He doesn't shy away from death and even laughs in the face of it.
I hope I give you the shits, you fucking wimp.
You've got Joe, with death looming outside, he can only think about one thing: going home and watching the soccer.
Yeah. What does bone mean?
Bone. Bollocks. Naff. Not very good.
We only see Bruce for a short while in the beginning, and Terry is the quiet one. He's nervous, but level-headed and cautious, having no problem mag dumping a werewolf where it calls for it. These characters each have their own distinct personalities. They actually talk to each other instead of having forced conversations filled with boring exposition. Every time they speak, it's because they actually have something to say. They're not just talking for the sake of trying to convince the audience that they're friends. The dialogue between them is witty, it's sarcastic and playful. There's no forced confrontational drama or extensive backstory to the characters that would only serve to drag on the runtime and overcrowd the story. The way the dialogue is written in this movie makes it feel real, in the sense that I actually believe that these guys are close friends. It's not written in a way where every line is delivered like poetry, or they're trying to have the most impact after each sentence, if that makes any sense. These characters talk how people talk.
Just taking a piss now.
What do you think, sir?
Growing up, I was obsessed with creature features. I loved horror movies like Sabretooth, Anacondas, Spiders, Eight-Legged Freaks, etc, etc. Merging that with my fascination and appreciation of animatronics and practical effects, Dog Soldiers was bound to capture my attention because of the design of the werewolves. There's just something so raw about them that makes the desired emotions from seeing them even more impactful. There's a time and place for CGI created monsters, and I'm glad they didn't use them here because although sometimes visually stunning, CGI lessens the impact of what you're seeing. You start to become focused on how good or bad it looks, rather than being in the moment and feeling what the character is meant to be feeling. And I think a lot of that stems from what the character has to work with in the moment. If the actors have nothing but a green screen to work with, I think it's going to greatly affect their performance compared to if they were staring the threat right in the face, having something physical to touch and work with. A lot of work and passion went into making these werewolves, right down to the set design purposely constructed in a way that would make them hunch over, further showing the audience just how monstrous these things were. The movie does a perfect job of giving you a constant feeling of claustrophobia and paranoia with its tight, enclosed rooms with low ceilings and dated exterior walls, doors and windows that the men desperately try to barricade with anything they could find to separate themselves from the beasts outside, and their inevitable deaths. Overall, Dog Soldiers is a brilliant film. If you pay close attention, there are small little details in the way these characters talk that relate to the theme of the film. There are some snide remarks, witty comebacks, and a secret that is obvious if you take notice of visual cues. Dog Soldiers is quite simply a fun film, and it feels like you're watching a story about a group of squad mates rather than a movie about werewolves. The cast, practical effects, accompanied by the set design and writing, make this film such a joy to watch. Overall, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
So, if Little Red Riding Hood should show up with a bazooka and a bad attitude, I expect you to tin the bitch.